We now join our regularly scheduled program, already in progress.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, so that's awful. I'm kidding. Love you, Oprah. Anyway, so look for it pretty much to be out of the top 5 by the end of the week, actually.
By the end of this recording of the show, it's
pretty much
top 5.
Rounding out the top 5 is gay romance. Love, Simon.
Okay. That's the high school student, right?
Yeah, and it's gotten a lot of buzz, a lot of pretty good buzz. Very well acted movie, and it's got some pretty good messages in there.
Okay.
A lot of people pretty upset about it. You know, I had people walking out saying that they didn't know, I didn't know it was like this. And
well,
this and that. Like,
did you not watch
the trailer?
Yeah, I was like, that's the whole premise of the movie.
Exactly. So if you're not into it, don't watch it. Make sure you're watching trailers. But from what I understand, it's a pretty good movie. So.
You know what? The problem with those movies is that when they're in high school and it's about a certain subject, it kind of alienates everyone else unless you have a reason to want to see it. It's just not a general movie. You know, if you're a middle-aged man, you got your kids with you, that's not the type of movie that you're going to go see.
Especially
you're like,
if you're
Laura Croft? Yeah.
If you're a closed-minded man, you're not gonna.
Yeah. If you live in the South and you're like, no, I got my kids with me. What do I want to see? Love, Simon or Laura Croft? Well, let's go see Laura Croft. There's no boobs in it anyway.
So coming up next week is Pacific Rim Uprising, which it was an unnecessary sequel, to be honest with you. Especially if you can't get Idris Elba back, or Ron Perlman, there's no reason to make Pacific Rim. Yeah. But regardless, you get Boyega, so finally actually gets to use his actual accent. So we'll see how it goes. I honestly don't think that it's enough to knock out Black Panther. It would be very surprising for me if this thing actually does, because the first Pacific Rim didn't really do as well as I thought it was going to do. This one could have an advantage because it's opening in IMAX. So it's a possible. I
don't see that
leg
knocking
up on
it.
Black Panther, but we'll see.
I'd see it knocking out a few others, but definitely not Black Panther. I think it's going too strong.
Well, the next time you'll see Black Panther is Avengers Infinity War, and that Infinity War trailer number 2 came out, and that thing looks epic.
Oh yeah.
One word, flat out, it looks epic. What stood out for you on that?
Actually, the very end of the trailer where it shows Thanos and Captain America, and you just see Captain America just struggling, and Thanos looking at him, I guess perplexed, right? A little.
It kind of looked actually like Captain America was actually holding his own, and it was surprising.
Yeah, that's
that
what
a mortal man was actually.
And that's what I mean. He was perplexed, like, what? How's this happening? But it was also only one hand, while Captain America's there yelling and grunting with 2 hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, that for me really showed like, oh dang, like this is gonna be. It's not gonna be a battle from far away. That's gonna be close up, hand to hand. We're gonna get to see some pretty good action. What it looks like.
From what I read, when the directors or the Russos are talking about it, they're very adamant that this is gonna be a pretty violent movie. That there's gonna be some deaths that are gonna be like legit, and you're gonna walk out wanting to cry because maybe those Logan style tears when you cry to Logan.
Oh yeah.
Because you're gonna see some characters that you love.
It's interesting. It's interesting to see on the internet who people are saying who's gonna die off in this movie. Obviously, Captain America is on the list, but it was interesting to hear. Drax is on there.
I believe Drax will die because Batista's going back to WWE.
Well,
he wants another full-time schedule with WWE, so I think it's possibly going to be Drax.
The other ones I've heard were Bucky or the Winter Soldier.
Well, Bucky's going to turn into Captain America, so I don't know if that's going to
happen. Well, then you don't know.
Well, Chris Pratt, the Chris Pratt, Robert Downey Jr.
That was pretty funny.
That was hilarious. It was like my wife talking to me, but
every married man can relate to that one, right?
But it was actually pretty good. The flashback with Thanos and Gamora, you can just tell that was a flashback, but that was still.
It was still cool.
It looks like you're gonna have a little bit of a backstory on Thanos in this, so I'm looking forward to that right now. Thor plays a big role. You can tell already that Thor is gonna play a big role in this.
I was hoping because he's been absent in a lot of the movies. What's happening? Which in Ragnarok it explained what he was doing, but still he was absent. And in the first Avengers, he really had the smallest role, I think, out of everyone.
Yeah.
Even though that was his stepbrother, that was his brother who was the main villain. He took a backseat to almost everybody in that film. So I'm really hoping to see him much more. And after Ragnarok, you discover like man, he's legit. Like he's taking on a different role himself. Thor.
And he's actually evolved after the events of Ragnarok. And then it's so funny. I was watching the honest trailer for Thor Ragnarok,
yeah.
and they were talking about how he's the god of thunder, yet he gets shocked like through the whole movie. Well, he hasn't learned that power yet. And now he's actually, after Ragnarok, he's learned that power.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see how he's gonna utilize those gifts in Infinity War. So speaking of this intergalactic comic book, thing that we're gonna be getting into with Infinity War, the new gods for DC is kind of very similar. And that's actually gonna be coming out pretty soon. They have hired Selma director Ava DuVernay. Now, she just is hot off of not really hot off, but she's off of A Wrinkle in Time, and with the backlash that she's gotten for that movie, it being too preachy and all that, it was pretty interesting that they decided to go with her to do this New Gods. This comic book was based on Jack Kirby's comics in the 70s.
Yeah.
So it kind of, it's kind of like a multiverse, so I can't it's gonna be pretty good.
Well, how familiar are you with
how
familiar are you with the New Gods itself?
I am not. The only thing that I know
well-versed, I should say.
Well, we'll talk about it right now in a little bit, because there are some things that tie to the current DCU, because they don't know whether or not this is going to be part of it. But the second, Ava DuVernay is the second woman behind Patty Jenkins to direct a comic book movie like this. She's the first. She is the first woman to direct a movie with a budget of more than $100 million.
Really?
That's how much this is going to be. So that is absolutely amazing, because I don't think the budget for Wonder Woman was
no, it wasn't.
$100 million. So that's going to be interesting. The what I wanted to get to was the Steppenwolf tie, because Steppenwolf is actually part of the New Gods.
Yes.
So with the events that happen in the Justice League, I don't know exactly if he's gonna be part of it, if it's gonna be the exact same interpretation of Steppenwolf, because the New Gods is gonna take place after Flashpoint. So we'll see on that.
Well, the reason why I asked how well versed were you with the New Gods, because
Not at all.
this movie can take place after Justice League, right? But it can have nothing to do with the Justice League. It can actually hold its own. And maybe at the end tie it in if they wanted to. If not, they could just leave it for our imagination.
As far as tying it in, maybe the Dark Side to where Justice League 2 can come out, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't have to actually connect them for it to be part of the universe. They could do something at the very end.
Okay.
And to connect it, so.
Wrinkle in Time right now is not performing well, that we just talked about in the box office. It's been killed by critics, got a 41% Rotten Tomatoes score, considered too preachy. Now, she does seem passionate about the New God, so that's a great thing. And I've always said that as long as you're passionate about the content and you have some knowledge about it, you can't go wrong. You will do well.
I'd argue that point with a few movies. But.
Could the New God suffer the same thing as Wrinkle in Time?
I don't think so.
Was it a good hire to hire Ava DuVernay?
You know what? My knee-jerk reaction would be that's not a good pick. But
why?
Well, typically you want to go with your action.
Did you feel that way about Patty Jenkins?
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's my knee-jerk reaction. Then you stop and think, perhaps a different thought, because we don't want to go through the same formula that everybody goes through. And the same explosions here, this. That's what I think Wonder Woman was so outstanding, because it didn't really focus a lot on explosions. Didn't focus on certain things.
I think it focused on the
characters
and the purpose, the plot, and all that.
And so I'm thinking if depending on how it's executed, that's why I say my knee-jerk reaction is no. She really hasn't done any action movies before. Really, that's going to make you stand out. But then when you take a step back and really, maybe this will give us a fresh, different perspective on the New Gods, of something other than just focusing on big action scenes. The action can still be amazing, but we don't have to focus on as that being the one thing that's going to make or break this movie.
Okay.
It could be something completely different, just like Wonder Woman. I mean, Wonder Woman, the action scenes, I think, were pretty legit.
Well, like I said it before, it really reminded me of Richard Donner's Superman. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot like that. What the new gods will be like, I don't know. Hopefully, it does stay PG-13. If it still goes into rated R, then she could go the Snyder 300 route, I guess, if she wants. But I don't know. We'll see.
I don't want to bash her, and I don't want to say what she should or shouldn't do, because she's coming at this from a fresh perspective, right? Something different.
And she, like I said, she's
passionate about it.
She tweeted about it, or she was it was on her Instagram, and she was very passionate about it. So.
She's making a lot of money. She better be passionate about what she's doing.
Well, speaking of Wonder Woman 2 starts filming this June.
Really?
And could take place in the 80s with Diana Prince.
Really?
Would Diana Prince possibly working for the U.S. government?
That's going to be interesting, folks. That had me thinking real quick, just for a moment.
Well, you look at, I mean, the 80s are back.
Yeah.
The 80s are back. You got, successes with it. You got successes with Stranger Things, and now pretty soon you're gonna have successes with Ready Player One. I think that it's safe to say if it's set in the 80s, well, you might, and give me a Linda Carter cameo. Super. I'm in it.
That's what right now when you told me that, I was already thinking about that. There's so many different things you can do with the 80s, and you can play around with it. Comic books in the 80s were completely different than the comic books that we're reading right now. Even the characters, everything that we do is all technology based.
Very true.
But
Very true.
80s, we already know what the technology was like, so they can play around with it, they can goof off. It's not that we're going to be holding it to a different standard or another standard, like let's say Marvel with their technology.
Right, but
advance.
I don't want it to be too nostalgia based.
No, but there's so much you can play around with
that's
it,
true.
You can have fun with it. That's great. I think it's going to be awesome because somebody drinking the tab, right?
Chris Pine is set to return, supposedly. I don't know. He died in the first one, so I don't know exactly how.
Well, we don't know if he actually died.
Hopefully
he blew up in the air, but maybe he jumped out at the last minute.
And had a parachute? No. He didn't have no parachute. I didn't see nothing.
Well, we don't know,
man. I just don't know. I don't think Chris Pine should come back unless it's in a flashback.
Well, but if he's...
it.
That's neither here nor there, right? Because he's already coming back, so...
One who I am excited as far as casting is the casting of Kristen Wiig as Cheetah. This happened last week, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but now that we're on this Wonder Woman 2 subject, I cannot wait to see Kristen Wiig as Cheetah.
That's interesting. I really, really would like to see how this is going to be played out.
Serious enough for Cheetah.
Okay, first of all...
All right, stop with the heckling in the back.
Kristen Wiig has range, and she has played serious roles in the Skeleton Twins, and she's played roles in she had a mock type of Lifetime movie with Will Ferrell. She's got the range.
It's the same thing with Ben Affleck. It was the same thing with Matt Damon when Matt Damon was, he can't play this, spy, and all of a sudden he's kicking butt. Hey, you know what? He didn't do that bad of a job. It was actually really good. Same thing with Ben Affleck. Oh, he's gonna suck. Him as Batman, that's horrible. Blah blah blah. And then it was one of the best things about BVS.
Exactly.
Those of you that don't know, Terrence had an opportunity to be on the show, but he opted out. So
I think that she's, like I said, I think that she's got the range. She's got the comedic
It'd be
talent
interesting. It'd be interesting.
And the dramatic experience to play this role. I think she can pull it off. She was recently in, what was she in? The Martian? Terrence?
Kristen Wiig?
Yeah. Forget it. She was also. I think she was in the
Ghostbusters.
She was not in The Martian.
She was not in The Martian. Yes, she was in The
Oh,
Martian.
yes, she was. She
was
was one of the ones that worked for NASA, but really didn't have. It was like, what was she do besides bring coffee? Because she really didn't do much.
But she did it with range. This is going to be, Wonder Woman 2 is actually going to be the very first movie to be produced by the Producer Guild of America Anti-Sexual Harassment Guidelines. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see how these scandals affect the production, because all of this stems from the Harvey Weinstein scandal. So I'm pretty curious to see how this works out. The reason that is also is that Brett Ratner was actually part of the original Wonder Woman crew. So now that Gal Gadot said she would not be Wonder Woman if he was on board. So well, you're gonna pick Wonder Woman or Brett Ratner? So go make Rush Hour 4, and we'll take care of this. So that's how that works. So I'm curious to see how everything works out under this new.
That's gonna be very interesting how this plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So in not casting news, but in hiring news even more, Bond 25 has hired Slumdog Millionaire director Danny Boyle to direct Bond 25. Now you got the last two James Bond movies did okay. Skyfall, Sam Mendes did Skyfall, and that was absolutely amazing. I gotta wait for you to finish this before I go. Okay, it brought back, it took Bond to a whole new level, and then disappointed everybody with Spectre. So Boyle's he's very creative, and him and his team have done some pretty good stuff, like Slumdog Millionaire, like Trainspotting, and 28 Days Later. So I think that he can bring something new. He's an Oscar winner, so I think he brings something new to the franchise. What do you think?
All right. So first of all, Daniel Craig is my second favorite, almost favorite all-time Bond. All right. Behind Sean Connery. Behind Sean Connery.
That's right. That's my boy.
Right. Daniel Craig brought a different thing. Here's why people give so much crap. Look, Bond was getting stale. They were doing the same gimmick, the same thing. Daniel Craig and his Bond was kind of mixing it up, and it alienated certain people. They're like, oh, that's not what I like. I like my Bonds like this, blah blah blah. But they had to redo it. They had to. Were you talking about with Casino Royale? Yeah, they had to redo how they were doing it because it was already getting too stale. So those people, that don't like it, I don't care, right? Because But I heard
that Spectre was not that good. It was not received very well.
It really wasn't anything memorable about the movie because there was no real new technology that was really advanced. Because we have all these movies with
they gotta like up themselves every show. Yeah.
So, but they're trying to go a different direction, and sometimes it's not a hit. But I think they're working it out and they're figuring it out. Now, the fact that they're bringing in a different director, I like the way he directs. I think he gives a very intellectual thought process on his filmmaking. He's not. I don't think he's going to be focusing on the technology, and I don't think he's going to be focusing on women in bikinis. I think he's going to give you.
I don't want to know.
I don't think he's going to give you your typical Bond as well, but I think he's going to give you a different Bond than we've seen before.
Daniel Craig, this will be his fifth and last time playing Bond, so hopefully he does go out with a bang.
Yeah.
When it comes to Spectre, though, Daniel Craig's rants didn't help that movie either.
That didn't help at all.
He talked so much trash, and then he got hurt during filming. So I understand his frustrations and all that, but a lot of what he did as far as in the public eye really kind of hurt this movie too. So you can't put it all on Sam Mendes, but I think you're right. I think Boyle will bring something different to it, and hopefully like I said, he ends on a high note as Boyle.
Yeah. I think Daniel Craig, he's gotten a lot of heat. But I think it's because they were trying to refresh it. It's not so much Daniel Craig, it's just that they were trying to do something different, remake or reboot the Bond. Okay. The Bond that we know.
Would you go female Bond?
Yeah, that would be completely different. But we've already seen that in Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde and
Salt and
Red Sparrow and Black Widow. That's not out yet. Never. All right. Well, speaking of being in heat, our WTF. A man in Miami suffered injuries to his genitals after attempting to rape a pit bull.
I don't even know if I want to really comment on this, except you should have more than your testicles and hurt.
4-year-old male pit bull defended itself by tearing off the man's privates.
Look, folks, seriously, WTF. That's all. I don't know what to add on that. Why would
All right.
What the heck were you thinking? Are you that? Like seriously, you could just go down the street, pay $20.
Oh, get some cold cream and hit that something.
Yeah. Something, but
it happened.
What the hell?
It happened in a dog park, so that's a different kind of playtime.
That is even worse. Not even in your own home. You're like, what?
I feel bad for the dog, too.
You and me,
Hey.
baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like we do on
Well,
the
the man
Discovery
was sent to a trauma center and could face criminal charges.
Yeah, you should. And
absolutely should.
You should get some psychological help.
And to quote Janine Garofalo from Truth About Cats and Dogs, it's cool to love your pets, just don't love your pets.
Well, what if that?
All right, take us home.
Hey guys, tell us what you think.
Oh man.
We covered a lot, but I'd really like to know what you think. Don't forget to follow us, like us, tweet us. Like us? Yeah, I already said it. Friend us, whatever. I don't know what's up on this new social media. I'm not down.
Oh man, if you like what you see, please look down here on the bottom
go.
and contribute to our Patreon
I'm at
page.
a lots of words on that. On this dog guy. Like seriously, like what the hell? Like that just goes and in the park.
We absolutely appreciate all of you guys for the support that you've been giving us. Continue to tweet at me at the Goods Podcast on Twitter, and hit up Terrence on the Facebook page.
Yeah, and if somebody knows
man.
more details about this dog guy, let me know. Because I want to know who this weirdo is.
Finally, for Aspen in the back and Terrence over there on the side, I'm Manny.
I'm Art.
And that was the Goods.
4K, baby!
I can't even do it.
It's a hood, we only got enough for 3Ks. We can't afford that 4K.
Well, I don't know, man.
Wait.
3K, hey, 3K don't like us. 3Ks don't like us. So we can't say that.
No 3Ks around
No
here. Only
3K.
4Ks.
Only 4Ks.